Well, welcome project management students to the fifth video in this series. In this video we continue with the schedule by creating the network diagram within Microsoft Project. Again, my name is Bill Johnson and I'm one of your instructors as well as the program director. So in this video we're going to really be creating the network diagram for our projects, as well as making sure that our projects are sound, or that it is a good schedule. And it includes these steps. Step 1, adding predecessors. Step 2, testing to make sure that it is a good schedule. Step 3, adding that reoccurring task. If you recall during video number 4, I said we would be discussing that weekly meeting on Mondays this time around. That is the reoccurring task. And then, of course, save it. Very important. Again, these steps need to be done in this order, and I very much encourage you to do each step in its entirety before moving on to the next step. Again, Microsoft Project can sometimes be a little fickle, so make sure that you do these steps in this order. Well, here we are again with our little project that we're doing in these videos, and we're going to be creating the network diagram. Again, if you have some questions about the network diagram, I encourage you to go back to your PMBOK or your textbooks and do a little bit of reading on it beforehand. In this video, we'll primarily be working in this predecessor column here and doing most of our work there. We will be adding another column as well, a successor column, when we are testing out our schedule. So let's begin the process. One of the big do's and don'ts in Microsoft Project is that the summary bars or black summary bars do not have predecessors or successors. Only the blue bar tasks do. So be aware of that. These black brackets, which are summary bars, do not have predecessors or successors. Only the blue bar tasks. Also, the milestones do as well. So given that, lines 1 and 2, we would not have to put any predecessors. But our start point, if you look at our in-class example, is Work Package 1.1, which is the start of our project. Remember that, another one of the big do's and don'ts, all of the blue bar tasks have both a predecessor and successor, except for the very first one, which only has a successor, and the very last one, which only has a predecessor. So be aware of that. So since 1.1 is the start, by going by that rule in the big do's and don'ts, we do not add a predecessor there. So the next one is Work Package 1.2.1, which is right here, and the work predecessor is 1.1. Now, do not put in Work Package 1.1. Over here is a list of line numbers, and what you need to enter here is the line number that Work Package 1.1 appears. So let's do that. That would be line number 3. So let's add a 3 here. And click away, and let's see what happens. You see over here, the two tasks are now linked with each other and have extended out the project. Now, Work Package 1.2.1 or 2.2 also has the predecessor of 1.1. I'm going to show you another kind of fun way of doing this. If you hover over and the crossbars show up like this, and then right click and hold down and pull away. You'll see this little chain mark. And if you go over the one and then release it, it will do it automatically. So that's kind of a fun little way of doing that. And you'll see that it automatically entered the predecessor's line. But I personally have found it easier just to add the line numbers over here, but that's up to you. Milestone 1 has both 1.1 as well as, or 1.2.1 as well as 1.2.2. So we have two predecessors here, and so we have to put in both lines. When there's more than one, each of the lines need to be separated by a comma. So work package 1.2.1 is line 5, add a comma, and work package 1.2.2 is line 6. And then click away. And you can see that it is now starting to stretch out, and we're starting to see a schedule starting to develop. We've gone from 11:13 to 11:17, now it's out to 11:20. So with that, we have now done deliverable 1. Work package 2.1 here has a predecessor of milestone 1. And so we have to put in that line number, which is line number 7. And you can see it's starting to stretch out here. Work package 2.2 is preceded by work package 2.1, which is line 9. And click away. Milestone 2 has a predecessor of 2.2. So this would be line number 10. And you can start to see that the schedule is starting to develop here. Work package 3.1 has a predecessor of 2.1. So that would be line 9. And work package 3.2.1 has a predecessor of milestone 2, which is line 11, and predecessor of 3.1. Again, we need to put a comma between the two line numbers. 3.1 is line number 13. And then 3.2.2 has a predecessor of 3.2.1, or that would be line 15. And 3.2.2 predecessor is the predecessor for milestone 3, or number 16. And click away. Now we're going to add one final mile, and you can see that now our schedule has kind of started to develop all the way out. It is now goes to December 12th. We are going to add one more milestone at this point, and that is the end of project milestone. So let's add one more milestone, project end. And that has a predecessor of milestone 3, or line 17. So here we have a schedule. Looks pretty good to me, doesn't it? But how do we know for sure that it is a good schedule? One of the things is refer back to the big do's and don'ts of Microsoft Project. One of the rules is that all Work packages and milestones need both a predecessor and successor, except for the very first one that only has a successor, and the very last one that only has a predecessor. So one of the things we need to do now is add a successor column. So let's do that and see if that rule stands. Again, I'm going to highlight the column and right click and insert column, and I'm going to go down and add the successor column. Oh, went on the wrong side there, but that's okay. So let's take a look here. First one has only a successor, so it fits the rule, and we can go down and we can take a look. Each of these have both predecessors and successors, except for the last one that only has a predecessor. So far, that is test number 1, making sure that that rule is adhered to. The second one is, do we have a critical path? This is where this little slide bar comes in handy, because you can start to bring it down, and you can see your entire schedule by manipulating this down here. So let's see if it has a critical path. How do we do that? Well, if you go to the Format tab and you click on this button here called Critical Tasks, what will happen is the critical path for our project should turn red. And it did. And it goes from the very beginning of our project to the very end of our project. So that is, given those two tests, we fulfilled the rule of predecessors and successors, and we do have a critical path running from the very beginning of our project to the very end. Now we have a couple more steps to do, and this developing a schedule is complete. Remember that reoccurring tasks that we had, the Monday meeting on Mondays? Well, come down here and highlight the line or the task cell. And you'll want to go to the task bar, and over here you see tasks icon. Click on the down arrow, and there'll be a reoccurring task. Click on that, and this will show up. Let's say the title of this, the task name, is Weekly Meeting. It has a duration of 1 hour, so instead of D, we're going to put H for hour. If you recall, I said the duration can be in hours, days, weeks, and months. And it's going to happen weekly on Mondays, starting at the beginning of our project and concluding at the end. And we're going to click OK. And you can see that Microsoft Project has integrated all of the needed weekly meetings into the schedule. And with that, we have a good schedule. And we have now developed the schedule. So the steps in this was adding predecessors to our work packages, then testing to make sure that we have a good schedule through ensuring that we adhere to that rule that all work packages and milestones have both predecessors and successors, except for the very first one that only has a successor, and the last one that only has a predecessor. We also tested it by making sure that we had a critical path that runs from the beginning of the project to the end of the project. The critical path again shows up in red, and you can get to that in the Format tab by clicking on the critical task button here and making sure that that is X'd. We then added the reoccurring task down here with the weekly meetings. Now there's one last thing to do, and that is to save this, because if you don't, you may lose it. Not a good idea, given all the work you've done. And so with that, we have now saved our project, and we are good to go. Again, thanks for watching this video 5, and congratulations on building a good schedule in Microsoft Project. We'll see you in the next video on resources.